Ever wondered if that spark you feel for someone is mutual, even if they're completely out of your league? For gay men looking for real-life romance, this story is for you. Hear how quiet observations turned into a breathtaking confession when a firefighter revealed his deep, unspoken admiration for someone he saw every single day. You won't believe how this connection truly began. The first time I saw Inspector Garrett O'Sullivan, I knew I was in trouble. It was a Tuesday morning in downtown Chicago, and our fire station had just finished responding to a warehouse fire on the south side. The smoke was still clearing when this man walked onto the scene. Tall, with that distinctive Irish pale skin that seemed to glow against the soot-covered building, and auburn hair that caught the morning sunlight. He wore a crisp inspector's jacket and moved with the kind of confidence that made everyone step aside. My name is Evan Williams, and at 38, I thought I'd seen enough of life to not be caught off guard by attraction anymore. I'd been with the Chicago Fire Department for 15 years, worked my way up through the ranks, earned respect from my crew, but watching Garrett methodically examine the scene, taking notes with those precise movements, I felt like a rookie all over again. "Who's the new inspector?" I asked Captain Rodriguez. "That's O'Sullivan. Transferred from Boston last month. Word is he's the best arson investigator on the East Coast." Rodriguez glanced at me. "Why? You thinking of switching departments, Williams?" If only he knew. Over the following weeks, I found myself looking forward to every call that might bring Garrett to our scene. I learned his patterns, how he always started his investigation from the point of least damage and worked inward, how he had this habit of running his hand through his hair when he was deep in thought, how his Irish accent became more pronounced when he was frustrated with witnesses who couldn't remember details clearly. I told myself I was just being observant, professional interest. But deep down, I knew I was memorizing everything about this man who seemed completely out of my reach. Garrett O'Sullivan was sophisticated in a way that made me acutely aware of my own rough edges. He had a master's degree in forensic science, spoke 3 languages, and I'd overheard him discussing European literature with one of the police detectives. Meanwhile, I was a South Side kid who'd worked construction before joining the department, whose idea of culture was catching a Cubs game on the weekend. The distance between us felt insurmountable, but I couldn't stop watching. I noticed how he took his coffee. Black, no sugar, always in a ceramic mug he brought from home. I saw how he was unfailingly polite to everyone, but there was a guardedness in his green eyes that suggested he kept people at arm's length. I observed how he always stayed late at scenes long after everyone else had left, as if the work was his escape from something. 3 months passed like this. 3 months of stolen glances, of manufacturing reasons to walk past wherever he was working, of lying awake at night imagining conversations we'd never have. Then came the Riverside apartment fire. It was a bad one, a 4-story building, families trapped on the upper floors. By the time we got everyone out and knocked down the flames, it was past midnight. The building was a total loss, and there was a fatality. An elderly man who'd been overcome by smoke before we could reach him. I was sitting on the bumper of Engine 47, still in my gear, trying to process what we'd just been through. Losing someone always hit hard, no matter how many times it happened. I was staring at my hands, still shaking from the adrenaline, when I heard footsteps approaching. Rough night. I looked up to find Garrett standing beside me, his inspector's jacket replaced by a simple gray sweater. Up close, I could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight that came with picking through the remnants of people's lives. "Yeah," I managed. "It never gets easier." "No, it doesn't." He was quiet for a moment, then surprised me by asking, "Mind if I sit?" I scooted over on the bumper, very aware of the 6 inches of space between us. This was the longest conversation we'd ever had, and my heart was pounding harder than it had during the rescue operation. "I've been watching you work," Garrett said, staring out at the smoldering building. "You and your crew. The way you coordinated the rescue on the 3rd floor, that was textbook perfect." "Just doing our job." No, it was more than that. He turned to look at me, and in the light from the street lamps, his eyes looked almost gray. "I've worked fires in Boston, New York, half a dozen other cities. Most firefighters are competent, some are good. Very few have that instinct, that ability to read a building, to know exactly where to go and what to do without hesitation. You have it. The compliment should have made me feel proud. Instead, all I could think about was how his Irish accent softened certain words, how there was a sadness in his voice that had nothing to do with the night's tragedy. Thanks, I said, because I didn't trust myself to say more. We sat in silence for several minutes, watching the last of the smoke drift up into the dark sky. I was trying to memorize this moment, the way he sat with his shoulders slightly hunched, the way he kept turning his wedding ring around his finger even though he'd told people he was divorced, the way he seemed as reluctant to leave as I was to have him go. Evan, he said finally, and hearing my name in his voice made something tight in my chest loosen. Can I ask you something?